Welcome to Season 2 of Why Your Business is Invisible Online. This season, we focus on the dramatic change artificial intelligence is having on your online visibility. Joining me are my two co-hosts, and here they are.
Hi, this is Jim Filatico. I'm currently obsessed with planning my next beach adventure for my whole family.
Hi, I'm Kelly Biggs. We're talking about AI this season. I'm wondering, can I get an AI agent to clean my house?
And I'm your host, John Manatis, still glued to my guitar, but with my new band planning our next tour. Okay, so today we are thrilled to have with us as our guest Robert Mitchell, who's the Chief AI Officer at WSI. Now, Robert helps business owners all over the place and in different businesses really make sense of AI and talk about and work with them on actually how to use it and how to help them grow. Robert has been instrumental in turning this cutting edge tech around AI into very clear, actionable strategies that help improve their marketing, help streamline operations, help save them money with a lot of productivity wins, and also help increase performance. So with that formal introduction, Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to join all three of us. We've had the pleasure of watching you in action in a number of different ways. And so we're thrilled to have you here.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Hey, Robert, before we get into how AI is changing the world, we've heard that you even use AI to write songs and cook. Can you share one of your favorite examples of AI?
Well, I'll start by saying, yes, of course I'm doing that. And why aren't the rest of the world, right? So I'll give you some examples, but I have to say that if you're not using it for every task and every activity and everything you do, then what are you doing? I mean, at the very least, you should be using it for fun stuff like cooking, like making songs. I think to a really good example, I'm a foodie, so I'm constantly cooking in the kitchen, and sometimes I have a hankering for something. Sometimes I have a hankering for something that doesn't even exist anymore. For example, and this is on my TikTok, which I only did like 15 videos. I had this series I was doing, which was ChatGPT made me do it, or made me cook it. And so I would ask stuff like, I was a big fan of Chick-fil-A's chicken salad sandwich, which they had for years. I loved it, had eggs in it. I was like, and they got rid of it. And I was like, I want it. And so I asked it to, whatever. I'm sure you could Google it and it's somewhere, but I asked it, give me the recipe and tell me how to do it. And then I asked it to do, Panda Express's teriyaki chicken. And it did it. So every time I had a hankering for something or some kind of interest or food, authentic Indian cuisine, or authentic pho, it nails it to the T every time. But that's an easy lift. Okay. But then I would actually say, give me a pan meal, which I do sheet pan meals, where basically it's a tray, a bunch of chicken. I was like, give me a sheet pan meal that's kind of Asian inspired. And you know what? I can't picture it. Can you give me an image to make me know what it looks like? It would do an image of the finished meal, and that would make me hungry. It's kind of like a Chinese menu, right? So you don't know what you're ordering. You just want to have a picture of it. And even another one. I got another one, Kelly. Is I created a GPT for my cookie called Robert's Cookie Companion. And this is a great tool because, some of my family, they like chocolate chip cookies that are softer or harder or crispy or thin or with nuts, without nuts. Some people have gluten allergies. So this will allow me to go in there and say, okay, I want a cookie that's soft but plump. And then it would change the recipe based on what the end result was, and it would tell me which ingredient did what to. That was great. So those are three really strong examples of AI for fun. But that's the thing, is you have to use it for fun so that you can unlock that part of your brain that problem solves using AI. And then when you're moving to your day job, you're like, I wonder if AI can do this. Help me write an email response to this angry employee.
I remember you challenging us to stop using Google and do everything on AI to see what.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will say that every training I do, I give homework, and the homework is exactly that, Jim. It's stop using Google for a week. Change the search bar to where it's ChatGPT, because there's a plugin for there's a plugin for Chrome which allows you to put ChatGPT in the bar instead of Google search.
Yeah.
And that'll fix your problem. You can't Google anymore.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I know are just starting to do that. They just want the answer. They don't want to go to a website and give me the answer. And we know with all the Google's doing that already. They're taking up all the top space on every page, right, with the actual answer now. So that hurts some of our clients.
You make an interesting point, John. They are removing the top of the fold, as they call it, right? They use the old newspaper terms, and they're taking that up with stuff that is not SEO hackable. Yeah. So all the stuff that you've been developing with clients with, and all these marketing experts have got them the first place in Google, right below the ads. Well, guess what? That got pushed below the friggin' fold.
Exactly.
And so now all that work is done.
Yeah.
So now you got to learn what's the new method. And so that's what we're on about today, hopefully, is what's the new way to hack, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I already have clients saying to me, like, I know I'm on page 1, but why am I so far down? And I said, well, let's talk about AI. So, but before we jump into the good stuff with search and where that's going, I'm in a band, and Kelly and Jim know that, like my brother, who's a drummer, he's been pushing me to start a cover band. But since you're doing original content, Robert, like, it'd be great to understand a little bit more about, like, what type of music are you using AI for, and how are you using AI, like, to,
and what platforms?
Like, are you in rap? Are you in country? Are you in rock? Like, or maybe all of the above? Who knows?
Well, I love doing the occasional rap battle between the different models. I think it's fun to let them, hack it out, But what I enjoy, I like 80s synth music. I like 80s kind of
Love it, yeah.
And also anything that speaks to the audience. Depends on the audience. So typically when I go to a client workshop doing training, I'll do a song with their mission and values. I'll throw it into ChatGPT for some good lyrics. I go into Suno and I get it to produce a song with those lyrics, and I give them all these contexts of the vibe, and then when I want country or if I want R&B or whatever. And it's brilliant, and it really makes everybody smile, especially if you put names in there.
Oh,
you put like Bob in accounting or whatever. That really does make them smile, and it just breaks the ice in ways that you can't do any other way, honestly. Which is why, as you know,
Suno, S-U-N-O.
S-U-N-O. Okay. Yeah, I was saying to Jim and Kelly last year when we played a gig at this bar, and we had to come up with a funny name for the band. So I decided to use AI to give me a hand with it. So I said, okay, here are the songs we're playing. Think about these groups and their entire repertoire, all their songs, all their lyrics, and come up with a catchy name for our band using, basically using that as your background. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, AI, it hasn't developed it yet, but it doesn't have much of a sense of humor, especially when you're telling it to be clever, interesting, and stuff. I literally went through, I told them, give me about 50 names to choose from. And I couldn't find one. That I asked the group, is there anyone that you like from this list? They go, nah, these are boring.
John, I got to tell you, you're using the wrong model then. So I'll just tell you that ChatGPT has slowly gotten a little bit less. Okay, so what makes the models have drift or hallucination also make them very creative. So the more you try to police the one, you lose the other. So which model out there is not policed at all? It's Grok. So if you want to have some real fun, you go into Grok, and I highly recommend you don't do the 18 over unless you're in a private room. There are some F-bombs, and they will tear you a new one. But that's where some really good names will come from. If you want some creative stuff, try Grok.
Grok. Okay.
Yeah.
Great advice. Okay, because they were
I think
laughing.
we can close on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a drop the mic moment. Yeah, for sure.
So this whole chapter 2 of ours, season 2 of ours, is about how AI is affecting search and how AI is affecting businesses completely. One of the things we talk about are stats. 43% of users under 35 now prefer AI-driven search like chat. Why do you think people are shifting to these AI platforms? What do you think is having people, move over, so to speak?
Well, I mean, if I offered you a Ferrari in exchange for your Honda, you'd take it, right? I mean,
I would.
So when you're sitting there and you have options that cut all the mess out. You're basically offering a undeniable solution. And so the more and more people that try AI, the more and more that the traditional search method is becoming obsolete.
Mhm.
So let's talk through that. So, when you're looking at personalities and the different ways that social media and scrolling have made instant gratification a thing, like everybody from our kids to even adults, movies are too long now. 2 hours are too long.
Yeah, no.
The content is in bite-sized pieces. This is all happening over several years. And so it shouldn't surprise us that people want that type of experience in their search and their querying. Where I don't want just don't give me all these ads. I don't want to go to a website and learn about the best 5 TVs to buy right now. I want you to just tell me the answer. Give me the facts, Pam. So I think that when ChatGPT came out and you could ask it just a basic, simple question, it would give you the basic, simple answer.
Right.
Holy crap, that's changed the landscape. And I think that answers your question. That's why people are
Yeah.
preferring the conversational approach, right?
Mhm.
They don't have to go through blue links. They don't have to go through websites. And it hurts for people that rely on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about it.
That's the tough part is the people that want those clicks. Our clients want those clicks, and so we're pivoting based on that.
Well, yes, and one of the things that helps us in that regard is I've found that because of that, they and my clients are getting better or higher quality, higher intent lands
Yes.
on their website.
Mhm.
So so now having
That's
a
a good point.
conversation that the traffic to my website is decreased. Does it matter if your conversions are higher?
No,
Right.
not
Then
at
it
all.
doesn't. So then it's kind of modeling that way because you don't want the noise of people kicking tires. You want the people that's ready to buy. So that's some of the shifts that we've had to do in that realm. And because honestly, people like Robert, who are at the leadership at WSI, have really helped us to say, hey, this is changing. So one of the things you talk about all the time is like, what? So what? Now what? So what? AI is happening. Okay. So what? Should we care? I think we all can agree that yes, we can. But now what? Now what do clients have to do differently if they want to get clients or show up in search?
No.
Is what we're struggling with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean, this also is an indictment to your business model, not yours, but of a end client. If you are a traditional website that you are coaching and training, like your whole business model is providing content on how to tie knots with a piece of string, right? And you do videos. Well, unfortunately, websites that are selling products are going to be fine, but websites that are all about their content and driving to their knowledge base, they're going to be dead in the water. They're already dying on the vine. So they might need to pivot their offering, pivot their deliverable, pivot what they're doing with their website. I know that's not exactly every client, or probably you don't have any clients like that, but the ones that do, those are probably having the hardest impact. But, when you're looking at updating a website for a service or a product, it's a simple solution now. It's not as hard as people think it is. SEO might have been a little bit harder. That's why you need experts to navigate it. But the experts you need now need to be experts in knowing that AI search, not so we call it search generative experience.
Mhm.
So it's a coupled model. It's they have a little bit of the algorithm that knows the content of your page, the robot.txt, right? It understands what's going on there, but then it uses the language model, which has got a corpus of data over the whole internet, every book ever made kind of a thing, right? So how do we get in that second part? We were already in the first part. How do we get in the second part? In the language model data set. And that's when you get an expert that can draft you content that's properly aligned with language models. You can't do keyword hacking anymore. Keyword long tails. You can't do that stuff. That's not going to, backlinking, they could give a crap about backlinks. That's not how language models operate. They look, here's an example, okay? Let's say you own a backpack company and you make backpacks for a living and you have this really cool new backpack that's really good for cold weather, for people who love pets, who like hiking for 4 days, who are male or female, right? And they like to tent camp, and whatever. Give me a list of the things, right? Your backpack is good at that. Guess what? Your story needs to be on your website. Here's a great story of Sue, who hiked the Appalachian Trail in negative 20 degree weather with her boyfriend and her dog. And then, oh, by the way, backpack XOG4 was what she used. There you go. You got semantic association of all these concepts that somebody's going to Google and say, I'm going on a backpack trip in the Appalachian Mountains with my boyfriend. That's what you need. You need lots of those stories to plump the content, to plump the LLM, because they have their own crawlers now. They're not relying on Google's stuff. So I know I'm going on a tangent here.
No, this is good because it leads into my next question. So keep if there's more to it, keep going, Robert. I think it's a solid.
I think that's kind of the thing is that people, the old ways of SEO hacking is not going to work anymore. You have to, even if you look at your newer Google page, there's now AI section that you can click on, not the regular search, just another, like next to images, you can actually click on AI and see a whole response for just AI, just like you're in a ChatGPT window or a Gemini window. So they're starting to test that. How many people are using that versus regular search? So be ready for that paradigm shift.
Yeah, which is great. I'm getting my clients to buy in to AI and starting to put their baby toe in the water and saying, okay, you're doing a good job on Google. I'm getting there. I can see that's working. So that side of it's fine. On the AI side of things, though, what one of the questions I get is, okay, well, hold on a sec. There's Search GPT, which is part of OpenAI. Then there's Perplexity. Then there's this Anthropic Claude thing. There's all these, and then there's obviously, with Google, there's Gemini and what's going on with Bing. He said there's so many of them out there. Do I have to do things differently for all of them because they're so specific in what they look for to put me, to make me be the answer to most of the key questions my clients care about? If I'm an HVAC company, they care about their furnaces and their heating and their air conditioners and so forth. How do I get to be the answer in many of the cases when my clients are looking on all of these different type of AI tools?
Yeah. The good news is, John, to answer your question, is they're all built on the transformer architecture. So every language model that you're talking about is built on the original architecture that Google came out with in 2018, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. And the good news about that is that once you put a strategy and a plan together, like we talked about, then it'll apply to all the models because they're all crawling, they're all behaving the same way. But here's the nut, though. I'll give you another example because this helps me. So language models don't operate like saving a data set. It's not an SQL database. So if I were to use ChatGPT right now and put in my password is I love strawberries, okay? And then Kelly logs in 10 minutes later and says, what's Robert's password? It does not know that. It doesn't save my session, my input, and then makes that part of the language model. That's not how it works, okay? But on the flip side, if I asked, who is the CEO of Coca-Cola? It knows that. Now, why does it know that? Not because it was said one time by one user on one article. It's all over the freaking internet who the CEO of Coca-Cola is. Blog posts and news articles and everything. So if you got an HVAC person, right, HVAC owner, and they're a small town operation, and they just got their website this year, good luck, right? That's going to be a lot of content that has to associate best HVAC in Gwinnett County. Right? You have to do a lot of content to make sure somebody who is searching for that specific, term or phrase or story, like we talked about, will have fed that language model enough content to make that the answer. So that's why that second channel is hard, because not only has to be semantic association with concepts and different ideas, it has to be multiple times, lots of times. Back to your question, John. All the models will behave the same, which is why you always got to test it. Your name, you used to Google your name back in the day. You should ChatGPT your name and see where it's getting its information, cite it. And then you go, this site has been crawled. We should probably update that because I no longer work there, those kind of things.
So, you're talking about local companies and those kind of things. Do you if someone's, like you said, Gwinnett County, if someone is looking for a product or service, do you just have to be better than the rest of them in the area for that to work? Or is that not, it seems like from the Google perspective, that's all you have to do is you just have to suck less. right, as everybody else. But when you talk about semantics and those kind of things, it's semantically, it may not be that way. It's just
Well,
the amount of
that's interesting
volume.
you say that. Content is everything. This is context and content are everything.
Right.
So you would suspect the algorithm is pulling from a different types of data sets, whereas a language model is saying, well, this HVAC company was associated with 5-star rating 200 times by all this data sets, right? So that's the difference is when we say semantic association, when you ask it what's the best, well, it understands best with above 90% or 5 stars or all the different. So it kind of connects those and it connects HVAC. It's like a lovely little three-dimensional word mapping. If you've ever seen visions of that, and you're constantly you're hopefully raising the temperature of whatever concepts like Bob's HVAC. We want that one to be as closely associated with as many of those positive connectors to what that person was searching for. That's the key.
Robert, it's funny. Back in one of our episodes last year, John said, I don't know how we even got on the topic, but we started talking about the best lawyer in
Toronto,
Toronto.
personal injury lawyer.
Personal injury lawyer.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I know who's going to come at the top. It's going to be Diamond and Diamond.
Yeah.
Right. And so me and Jim said, well, let's see. Well, guess what? They weren't at the top for large
chat.
language, no, chat and Perplexity.
And Perplexity, yeah.
They neither one. And so then to your point, we started going down the rabbit hole. Like, why did you not pick Diamond and Diamond? Like, what's going on? And exactly to your point, it was like, they hadn't done a lot on reputation management, to put it kindly.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So that was the struggle. And so then, it was kind of eye-opening. Like, it's like you got to have a lot. I think it's tougher. You got to have a lot more.
You make a great point, Kelly. And I'm not a marketer, so full disclosure, I don't know marketing. But I've always believed this about marketing. Successful marketing is doing many, many things right. There is no fairy magic dust. You can't say, I am the best at reputation management, but I don't have a website. Well, yeah, you ain't going to show up. So you have to do multiple things right. And right now, that right is shifting. And so you can't just rest on all the techniques that worked the last 5-10 years. You got to, this is a new slice of the pie that's kind of being inserted, and it probably is taking a little bit of room from search and a little bit of room from SEO, and it's kind of injecting itself. So there's a whole nother thing to learn for your clients, but that's why we have experts.
Yeah.
Well, going, I just want one, and then we can switch to someone else, but staying with that point of reputation, the other things that we're seeing is, if you think about, again, search everywhere is the topic. If search, you talked about TikTok. So one of the things I was speaking with a Gen Zer, and they were saying, I was like, tell me how you use TikTok. Like, what do you use it for? And so they were taking me through their whole buyer journey. But one of the things that kind of bubbled to the top of this buyer journey for me is that they might be introduced to something through TikTok. And then they said their very next step would be to stay inside the platform and they go look at whatever was served to them, and they're looking to see what other people are saying about it. So this whole idea of user review in that algorithm becomes way more important, I think, than it has previously. Before, it was Google reviews, right? But inside of a product, inside of a platform like TikTok, we're starting to see user content.
I can't agree with you more. That is extremely well placed, because and those who don't monitor that, they're at risk, because great if somebody says positive things about your brand, that's not going to happen all the time. And if you just let the negative naysayers, they'll own that chat. They will absolutely dominate, and be like, and if you don't respond to them, like, oh, it's a shame that you had a bad experience. Did you know that you had to do this, this, and this for it to work right? Oh, no. Okay, so if you're not responding to it, then you're not actually going to get the positive of that. So yes, definitely I agree. Reputation, and even in those channels, is huge right now.
I want to stay on this topic of traditional, what we've been doing traditionally really well for years with SEO, and now we're making this transition to AI to include them into the picture. There's probably, in your travels, Robert, you've probably centered on a bunch of things that we were doing in SEO that are still probably pretty good for AI as well. AI understands that. We should probably keep doing those things. But there's probably some really distinctive things that all the AI AI companies, whether again Perplexity, Anthropic, OpenAI, that their tools want us to do differently now, like or maybe emphasize more. For example, if you said to me, AI prefers that we have more frequently asked questions, more succinct answers, more I don't know, visual. Like, are there things that the AI tools want to see so that they amplify our clients to the top of their list when it comes to the most important questions? Keywords and so forth still works for Google search, but it doesn't necessarily work in the AI world. What are the things we can keep from what we've always been doing in SEO versus the new things we have to emphasize with AI tools to be successful?
I think I'll go back to my comment about what you keep is the mentality. You might not be the tactics, but it's the mentality of aligning your content to the user's intent.
Got it.
And before it was keywords would solve that problem. Like you could just keyword hack and just throw all the keywords that you're paying for into a blog post, and then you won. Or it used to be, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a marketer, but it used to be that your web domain couldn't be misaligned with your product. Remember that?
Yeah.
'Cause I used to work for Sport Clips, and they would they would name every single domain men's haircuts of Gwinnett County. That would be like what? Not even Sport Clips. Their domain would be men's haircuts. I was like, what? So,
That's what it was.
So they could hack that particular element. That's tactics that don't work anymore because the SEO model changed, right? And algorithm and Google shifted. Language models, they don't have that kind of thing. So I think it's really about aligning intent of how the users are using their tools. And right now they're giving lots of context. So you got to match that context if you want to be the product that comes up. But back to Kelly's point, you'll get so much more potent interest at that point. If they do click on your site, it's because you align perfectly with that client. And that's brilliant. That's like, and so to that next point, you better jump on that lead. Because that's hot.
Conversion.
And know who that person is from the get-go, right? Pick your best client and go.
Yeah, Jim, I think you were talking about that before. I thought you said you saw a video or something where you were saying conversion was going to be basically the most important thing because you get warmer leads.
Yeah, when like Robert was saying, when everything lines up together, there's almost nowhere else to go, right? It's going to go to the one that it matches the best. So they're ready to buy. They're ready to buy the service or the product, and that's where we were talking about it before. Then you go to a generic landing page, or you go, you know what I mean? Once you get to a website, if that generic landing page is there, you're screwed, right? I mean, it has to have Susie's name and Susie's background and Susie's intentions, so to speak. Not her name, but you know what I mean.
And Jim, and that's where the next problem comes in, because you were saying that, I was like, well, what if multiple clients, products, services align perfectly with Susie's interest? Well, you just said it. They went to the first one. It was a terrible website. Bounce, and then that ruins their algorithmic results for next time, but not the language model. So if you're firmly embedded in just a language model, then you're beholden to how LLMs work. But that's the problem, which, sorry to go back and forth here. Now what they're doing is they're rolling them in like a Perplexity. And those who don't know what Perplexity is, it's like they use ChatGPT and a language model together to produce a solution. And so that's what they were the first to do it. They made Google look bad. And then you saw ChatGPT add search. Then you saw Claude add search. Then you saw Gemini with Google add AI. So my point is that when you're used to be that you could align for just the LLM, now you're having to align for whatever that search is and the LLM. So it's a little bit of both. Again, people who are listening to this who aren't marketers, they're going to be like, how do I? That's okay. There's 3 experts on the call that can help you with that.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about like AI and how AI favors conversational. and authoritative answers, right?
Mm.
So I'm just thinking about that, just kind of thinking of it out loud. When I talk to my clients, one of the things that I invite them to do is to just either typically they're the business owner, listen to what questions are kind of coming in from as people are taking calls, record calls. You can take something like that and put that into a GPT. And then now you can have a FAQ that you can put in places where people are searching for you. You can use that content all over the place if done correctly. There are other questions. Just how do you move to that conversational piece if you're trying to show up? I guess kind of even as a business, like they might not do all the things that we do. They probably are not, but
Well,
some like a simple hack.
but that's the thing. I'll go back to what I was saying, that the changing of the users. We're getting Gen Zers. I hate to say, like, I'm not saying that despairingly, that they're going to be a bigger part of the economy.
Yeah.
And even my daughter, she had an iPhone in her crib. Just kidding. But my point is that they grew up with this technology. They grew up swiping. There was an old. I was watching this one content creator talk about. He was at a gaming convention, and they had all these kids trying these new betas of these new video games, right? And the kids would go up and they play with it, and they try to touch the screen, and it wouldn't work. And they didn't know anything but a iPad type of interaction where you could
Right.
touch it. And that's like, it was that baffled the game designers. Like, oh crap, we didn't build this game for the right audience.
Mhm.
Okay, so fast forward to your point there, Kelly. It's really about the conversational and authoritative pieces of you as a business owner. You need to expect them to want that. Number one, you need to shift your brand to be the type of interaction that your clients want. And the beauty of having a chatbot in the bottom corner used to be okay because it had a decision tree. They asked you, hey, how much is a widget? You can answer that question. How much is 5 widgets? Oh, I can't do math. Sorry. That's the problem with the old method. The new method, you can ask it anything
Yeah.
that has context in your business. So back to your point, you just feed it some of the best questions they've ever been asked from the customer service department. And then now you build an AI chat assistant for their website that can answer all of those. So that freed up the customer service team. Notice how I said freed up, not fired. Okay, freed up their time.
Right. Right. Oh, that's a big thing too. Right.
And even better than that, and we have some of our supplier partners that can do this. Have a looks like or looks like a bubble on the website, and it literally is somebody that you can talk to. It's the first thing you see on the website pops up is, "Hi, I'm Jenna. How can I help you?" Like, oh yeah, I want to buy 5 widgets. Like, well, what kind of widgets? What products are they for? It will converse with you on all of the data that you've given it to train on and make that customer experience amazing. So again, going back to Jim's point, whenever they're ready to buy, can I connect you with a customer representative to take your order? Sure. Or can I book a call with our head of sales? Sure. They've done all the heavy lifting, so that's a hot lead.
Now
So
you're ready.
that interaction, that conversational, that's where people are going. They don't want to search for it and read about it. They want to be able to talk to somebody about it.
Let's just play a quick little game here.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And so I'm gonna, since we're talking about chat bots, and I'll before we do that, well, I'll do that, and then I'll say something else. So I'm just going to give you a couple of things, and you tell me yay or nay. And these are just things that we've seen, either we've used ourselves, our clients asking us about, and they're just technology. So you tell us. Is
A
it
yay or nay that I like them, or
yay or nay that you like them, or yay or nay that people should learn more about it?
okay, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay. All right. Chatbots.
Of course, yes, yay.
Mhm.
Okay. I think the one context there, though, we is that, let's just put this caveat out there. There's so many things out there. You better have a plan to infuse any
Yeah.
of this into.
I'm
your-
assuming when you mention these, they are deployed correctly and
Mhm.
accurately in the right technique and tools. So there's an assumption that there there's a bad way to do all of these, right?
Right.
So don't use a wrapper app or just a plugin, and don't not police it with a human in the loop. There's all kinds of elements there that but assuming this is, best case scenario.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So visual search like Google Lens or Pinterest Lens.
I would say yay, because I use this a lot, especially in the Amazon cart. So I love the tool, love the technology. That's only going to get bigger and better. So yes.
Okay. Yeah. For people who might not know, just a elevator pitch on it.
So what Google Lens is? So it allows you to search for like-minded products on the internet. So if I saw a girl, actually I did this at a conference. She was bragging about her cool shoes. And I was like, okay, where'd she get her kicks? And I took a picture of it, and it was far away. I had to zoom in like far, and it was blurry. I was like, I said, where did she get her kicks? And I did it with Google Lens. And this woman, and they look like tennis shoes. I think they were like $2,000.
Oh my God.
Like,
wow.
No wonder you're bragging about them on a conference.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. I was like, well, I ain't buying those, but they were pretty neat. So you could take a picture of something you like, a dress you like, and you don't know where to buy it. Boom. That way you don't have to talk to people.
Next, you type in cheap version of the.
There you go.
All right.
100%.
Voice assistants.
I used to say, a painful no, because Siri sucks, still sucks. I hate Siri. She's the worst. She promised all these great things, and now she's, in the world of AI, she's terrible, right? I have her turned off on my phone. Alexa just came out with a better version, so Alexa's doing amazing. And notice how I'm anthropomorphizing these lovely ladies who are not ladies at all.
And we all know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So Alexa is pretty good now, so I'm a big fan. It's a great technology. Just, be wary that they're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Here's a good one. And I want to say 100% AI written blogs and articles.
Well, I am so how do I say this without pissing off people in the audience? Yes, I have no problem with them writing them. I have a problem with them auto posting them. If you 100% write it and you have a human that can review it, then yes, love it all day long. Because I'll give you another example. I love all these examples. So I went to my butcher and I said, I'm making this really fancy French dish, and I'm whatever the name it was, I told him, and I need some meat for it. He said, great. It's like, well, where'd you get the recipe? It's like, I got it off ChatGPT. He said, of course you did. It has all of the recipes. And when he said that, even though I'm the AI guy, he's the butcher, he's like, yeah, it does have all the recipes. It has all the bad ones, all the good ones. And I said, I want the best one that is like this French dish. And it did it for me. So when you're saying, the AI blogs and written by AI, it has all of the best writers. So all of your bias and all of your bad, you always spell this word wrong. That doesn't happen with AI, especially if you align it to a particular voice that you like. And it's easier for the AI to align to a client's voice than it is for you to align. It's just, I'm sorry. Content creation is so much better now. Use it as your tool. Don't let it take over your work.
I like that. That's very good. All right. I already know your answer on this one, so this is almost unfair, but I'll do it anyway. AI for video creators. And women, and for context, we didn't talk about, you do have an affinity toward photography, right? You're a photographer. So.
I'm a photographer. I'm saving up for my first Leica, which is very expensive.
Nice.
Yeah. And I have, tons of lenses and camera stuff. I used to be a wedding photographer as well. So I'm a big photographer fan. It will never take wedding photography. So it'll never take that. AI will never take your baby's photos. So that'll never be taken. It will take away some fashion stuff because the model is irrelevant if you're trying to promote your clothes. So fashion might be gone. But anyway, going back to your AI video creators. So I love the idea of some really good content, but right now it's not right. It's not at the right level. So I would say yes, but not at the level it is now. It's kind of like, it's a little bit and mushy, and it just, you can see all the flaws. It's kind of like when CGI first came out. You're like, that's not a dinosaur. That's horrible.
I was
That's how I see now.
I was watching a guitarist, and it was not bad. It was a pretty decent video. But then I looked closely at his, fingering the chords and so forth, and he had like 6 fingers, nowhere near the chord structure that it should have been. But that's any guitarist would have caught that. But yeah, the average person would have looked at the video and said, "Okay, not bad. It's pretty interesting." Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
And my final one, and then I'm gonna toss to Jim to talk a little bit about AI personalization or whatever topic he wants. But AI customer service agents.
Well, we're using them. So we're using them for client work. We're using them for our own internal. I'm using them for outbound sales efforts.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I'm a big fan of the technology because it's gotten so good you can't tell anymore, and you don't have to be a grandma to be swindled by some of these AI agents. We use a company called Amplify Voice, and they're one of our partners, and they do a great job of taking our context of what we're selling, what we're talking about, and then calling those leads that did inquire. We are actually using it for our dead leads, the ones that didn't respond. So we got nothing to lose at this point. But the beauty of that kind of interaction is that we can call 10,000 people, or they can call 10,000 people in just a few seconds, and we don't have to, now we get 6 leads from that, costs us a couple $100. That's worth it. We would never have been able to try to connect to all those dead leads if, you had to have the database, you had to have those people that agreed originally to be contacted, but they're great. They sound great. They have empathy. They listen. Yeah. They're fast. It's not the old agents of the past. So
there's not that 10, 15-second lag when you can hang up the phone.
Right. Yeah. Well, I will say this for anybody who doesn't want to be called by AI agents, I have a hack. And my hack is when you answer your phone, don't say hello. I say, "This is Robert." And so when I say "This is Robert," if there's a pause, I hang up.
That's what I do.
So I get it. That's how I bypass them. Not that I don't want to be called by them, but I'm too busy. I don't have time for that.
Well, I keep on getting that they can fix my Google business profile.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And I said, "Do you even know I'm a digital marketer. That's what I do."
All right.
Okay, bye.
There's nothing the matter with my page.
Yeah, thanks.
Fix it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, we did talk, and I think we've hit this subject, but we talk about personalization, and you brought up a good point because I got really deep into it, Susie, where we talked about what she was all about and where she was going and all those kind of things. But what are some tips? What are some hacks that we can use that help us personalize without being too hyper-focused, that kind of allows the AI type search to kind of lean into what we're providing as far as content and context? But is there a way to make it more generic so it caters to a broader audience, or are you diluting it too much?
Oh, that's an interesting opposite challenge. So instead of trying to align the models on making sure you come up, you want to make sure you're if you're looking specifically at language models, then again, you have to go back to the intent of the user. If the user is being brought in there, like I asked the question, what's the best TV for gaming? I didn't say what the best 3D 4K TV for gaming was. Mm-hmm. So that broad of an audience, you would need to have, again, similar technique, but content related to the generic approach. So I think that's the answer to that question. Again, not knowing marketing, but only knowing AI. That's how I would approach it.
Yeah. I would think then you just have multiple articles, that'd be the other way to do it.
I guess I do have to say that there is some truth to the authority mechanism, which I mentioned backlinks is not really what they care about, but they care about the authority and the repetition. So a lot of these websites have huge distribution and huge user, bases. I'm not sure they're going to weigh it more heavy, but they're going to reference the title of that article. The article is a content about the best TVs for gaming. It's going to look at that as context, even though it's not part of any content on the user's website, right? Samsung didn't put it out, but Consumer Reports did, and that's still valuable. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, you could argue more valuable.
I saw a hack. Yeah. Have you heard of people? Sorry, there was a hack that whatever. We listen to a lot. We train on this stuff all the time, and anyway, they were saying that there was some hack about putting on your website the best digital marketer in Atlanta, Georgia, and if I could put that in some kind of tablet. I mean, put other people out there, but if I give it enough context, it could get you ranking in a LLM search.
I don't know about that hack, but I do know there was one that put out a good year or two ago. There was a website that could produce 400 or 500 blog posts in a second, and they would post it, and then, which is kind of like it's hacking by just sheer force, right? or ping flooding, or DDoS attack or something.
Yeah.
I think that the models are getting away from that. I also say that Cloudflare, if you were heard recently, they announced a tool that allows websites to basically take language model crawlers on a vicious kind of rabbit trail of
Joyride.
content.
Yeah.
Joyride to keep them off their site, which is a very interesting tactic to direct them away from taking New York Times data or Reddit data. So that's not what you want to do. You want the opposite to happen.
Right.
That's just a product Cloudflare is selling. Yeah.
To wrap things up, Robert, what we wanted to ask you was, and there's a whole bunch of probably answers to this, but if you had to pick one, and you were talking to a CMO or CEO, and you want to help them make sure their brand stays visible in this new AI environment, is there like one tip or hack or idea you would plant in their heads to ensure that they're on the right track and in terms of keeping their company visible now with AI?
Well, I'm going to give you two major call outs. So, okay, CEOs, listen to me very clearly. You are on the chopping block.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You are one of two types of businesses that are going to be in the future. Those who are using AI and those who are closed. And that is not hyperbole.
Oh, wow.
You need to get on the bandwagon, because what people aren't doing is I'm going to get on my soapbox here. What they're doing is they're kind of doing a blind eye. Bad CEOs are kind of saying, oh yeah, I heard that my department over here, there's some guys in the sales team that are using AI. They just love it. That is scary, because what you're hearing people using it for whatever they want and in whatever ways they want. Who cares about client data, personal privacy data, IP data for your company? Let's put that aside. The fact that you as a CEO don't have a strategic vision on how to corner the market of your competitors in AI, you got to be strategic. So my advice to you is get with an AI consultant. WSI's got plenty of them, not to plug us too much, but you need to use somebody who can help you do an adoption of AI across the organization, give you a 2-year goal of what kind of AI business you want to be, help you design guardrails to get there, and then help you train your team. You cannot do anything unless you upskill your employees, because you're falling behind, not just your company and your product and service, but those inside your team. I'll give you a great quote. There was a CEO talking to his CFO, and the CFO says, what if I train all these employees and they leave? And the CEO goes, what if we don't and they stay?
That's a great.
That's what you're dealing with right now.
Fantastic.
You're dealing with a bunch of technology, a bunch of people who are old school, right? There's no experts except for people who are really embedded in it like we are. So you're letting them to do the old habits, and they're falling behind inch by inch. You don't even know it. So that's my advice.
Awesome. No, that's great. And it's a good wake-up call for everybody. I mean, I'm starting to hear more and more people jumping on board. It's just they don't have that discipline. And I think the faster they get on board. We talked about this earlier with Kelly and Jim. If you're going to scale anything in this space, you better have processes, disciplines, common understanding across your organization. So that was a great way to close. Thank you so much, Robert, for your time. That was a lot of fun, especially the lightning round.
Great. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, that was great.
you.
Yeah, we really
thanks
appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to Why Your Business is Invisible Online. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us a favor and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to share it with other business owners who might find it helpful. If you want to dig deeper, contact us at ruinvisibleonline.com. That's capital letter R, capital letter U, followed by invisibleonline.com. Or message us on our LinkedIn business profile with the same title, Are You Invisible Online? The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and may or may not reflect the official policy or position of WSI Corporate. Always consult a qualified digital marketing expert before making significant changes to your online strategy. Until next time, keep connecting with the people who matter most to your business and join us for our next episode.